Right now on Face the State, scandal rocking Connecticut's most prestigious university. Yale, a victim of a national scam that has led to the stars of Desperate Housewives and Full House being indicted. How did it happen? And what does it mean for higher education? We'll ask Kevin Rennie of the Hartford Courant and Laura Boyer, an educational consultant. Plus, a new poll shows most people oppose tolls in Connecticut, so how will lawmakers respond? We'll discuss with State Senators Dan Champagne and Saud Anwar. Plus, today is Selection Sunday as March Madness kicks off. The school representing Connecticut, though, might not be UConn this year. We'll talk with John Gallagher of the University of Hartford. It's all straight ahead on Face the State this Sunday, March 17th, 2019.
From Eyewitness News, Connecticut's most watched local political program, this is Face the State.
Good morning, it's 8:30 and welcome to Face the State on this St. Patrick's Day. I'm Dennis House. We begin today with the college admissions cheating scandal, which has ensnared some top celebrities in Hollywood and even involved Connecticut's most prestigious university, its Ivy League university, Yale University. With us today to talk about this, Hartford Courant columnist Kevin Rennie, also of dailyructions.com, and Laura Boyer. She is an educational consultant. We thank you both for being with us here today. The news was stunning because we're talking about hundreds of students who cheated, whether they knew it or not, or their parents did it.
Cheated on their behalf, right.
And the Hartford Courant's been doing a lot of details on this. What do you know so far, Kevin?
Well, we know that it started with an investigation of a completely unrelated case, which does happen now and then, that the FBI got a tip as part of their investigation of another case, and it led to this absolutely extraordinary investigation in which it's almost as there are so many shocking details that we haven't been able to absorb it all yet. One is that the $400,000 that was allegedly paid to the women's soccer coach at Yale clearly is not enough. A $400,000 donation is not enough to get a student into Yale University. That the cost of a legacy has skyrocketed.
Laura, you're shaking your head. When the news first broke, what went through your mind? Because you work with parents and students about how to get into college.
So I started my career actually as an admissions officer at New York University and then flipped to the other side, and I've been a college counselor for the past 16 years with my own business, really guiding students through and parents through this entire process. Unfortunately, it wasn't shocking to me. The level to which it was taken maybe piqued my interest a little bit, but I think that the frenzy surrounding college and admissions in our society today has really amped up not only kids' anxieties, but parents' anxieties.
Why wasn't it shocking? Had you heard rumors that perhaps people were trying to do this?
No, not at all. Just that families, even innocent families, get so nervous about their children stepping into this process that they will say, you know, is there anything else we can do? And I will always guide ethically. You know, when families come to me, I'm vetting them as much as they're vetting me in terms of a match to sign on with me. And I'm very clear that this whole college admissions platform, in terms of the process by which kids need to execute to get through the process to get a decision, is so grounded philosophically in development at that point from an adolescent perspective that if we do it correct as educational consultants, we are allowing kids to really enter into young adulthood, learn how to take steps critically to think through their lives and then be accountable to them. So it's just a piece that's shocking to me from the sense that parents could really drive this to that extent, but not that it happened.
You know, Kevin, nowadays, this time of year, people are getting their acceptance letters, and now there's going to be a cloud over some of them.
Well, some of them, yeah. I mean, it's not a very big slice of all
of the students. No, absolutely.
To the thing that so far has surprised me the most is that they managed to find proctors to bribe in the standardized test taking process, and that simply would never occur to me that you could find a proctor. First of all, how do you make the initial approach, and the proctor, you pay the proctor a large sum of money, and they change the test answers for the student from wrong ones to correct ones.
What about those students who were denied slots because the slot went to someone who cheated?
I can't even begin to imagine how they are feeling. I won't even try to step into that. What I think that we need to, I suggest we maybe shift the focus on is just globally putting kids at the center of this. We're talking so much about what the parents did, But the kids at the end of the day who are going to be implicated in this, the message sent to them that we as your parents are going to spend all this money to get you in, at the end of the day, that you couldn't do it on your own, is a huge message. If it hits them now or later, it will hit them. We know that all of this stuff in life comes out in the wash at some point, and even for some of the students who have been admitted and are now matriculated in at these universities, it has been said that it will be investigated, and the decision by which they either stay or they leave will have to be determined. So I can't even begin to think about how those kids are feeling.
You know, Kevin, as an attorney, you've been in the court many, many times. What do you think is going to happen to these actresses and the people involved?
Well, I think they will mount vigorous defenses because they obviously have the resources to do it. And I think that they'll test the law. I think that they'll test the criminal laws to say what federal crime has been violated. And I think that's where they'll start. And then this will be prolonged. And you know, when you have famous people, the prosecutors generally don't like to come to a resolution that's helpful to the famous person. They like this is a high-profile case. The nation is watching, and the federal prosecutors are going to want to win.
We're going to shift gears a bit. Laura Boyer, I thank you so much for being with us here today. Kevin, I want to ask you a little bit about Governor Lamont, because many people are saying that the honeymoon is over with the governor. Is that correct?
He's adrift. I think it was a terrible mistake to abandon his campaign promise of just several months ago that he supported tolls on trucks only. That was a high-profile promise. It was a big issue on people's minds during the fall campaign and now. And to suddenly say, well, I didn't really mean it, or I didn't understand the numbers, doesn't reflect very well on him.
Why do you think he changed his mind? What led to that?
Well, if he did change his mind, I think it was he looked at the numbers and thought, well, this may not be enough, but to raise each year. But these numbers are widely available. He ran for governor eight years ago in 2010, and he was candidate for governor for an entire year. These are issues that when you're running for statewide office, particularly for governor, you're very familiar with, and you know the details. I think one reason that he said trucks only was that as the race was getting closer, that if he had said all motor vehicles, it might have cost him some crucial votes.
He's also having a little bump on the road with his nominee for the commissioner of the Department of Economic Development, David Lehman, who was on this program last week. Senator Matt Lesser, also on the program, said that he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to support him, a fellow Democrat. Another Democrat, the Senate President Martin Looney, has said he's not sure either. Where do you see this going?
I think that they'll probably convince enough Democrats to support him, to give the governor his choice. But it certainly has not made a very good impression. David Lehman has not made a very good impression with his interview with Colin McEnroe just the other day. And then in addition, the governor has been oddly thin-skinned about criticism of Lehman, and really quite condescending over those who have raised issues about the fact that, look, Lehman himself admits that he was in the center of action in the mortgage debacle of 10 years ago, and Ned Lamont sort of first shrugged that off, said it wasn't true, and then just was condescending to critics who think that is a potent issue and has questions that need to be answered. Lehman appeared before a U.S. Senate investigation committee and was there with some other very highly powerful financial people from the private sector, and that suggested he is not just an errand boy for disaster. He was at the center of action. And
a quick final question. Bob Stefanowski had said he wasn't going to criticize Ned Lamont, but now he's at the Capitol on Budget Day. Do you think he wants to run again?
Oh, I think he does want to run again. I think he is trying to keep his team together in some way. Really, he would be much better off spending his time learning about issues, because he tried to run a substance-free campaign in last fall, and the result was that he lost in a year that a Republican should have been elected governor of Connecticut.
Kevin Rennie, we thank you so much for being with us here today. When we come back, we'll talk with some lawmakers about the big issues at the Capitol, including tolls and David Lehman. And we welcome you to watch past editions of Face the State on our website, our app, and on our YouTube channel as well.